Michelle is asking, is it normal to be this emotional when you first high five your heart? I instantly had tears and a big wave of emotions. It was like my heart finally said, finally, you're listening to me.
Oh God, Brendon, that's going to make me cry. It's interesting. This hits so deep for people. I mean, even like the tough guys like Dave Hollis and Ed Millett, when I talked to them about these tools, started crying. Yeah. And I think that what you're realizing, everyone, is just how busy you've been and how disconnected you are from yourself. And that you've been sitting around waiting for somebody else outside of you, your spouse or the person you're dating or your friends or your family or your boss or a colleague at work, to make you feel like you matter, to make you feel seen, to give you this deep and profound, affirming, emotional support that we're all in need of right now. And so it's true. Yes, it is. I think the resistance is just as much to be expected as breaking down in tears, because you have withheld this from yourself for a long time. And you've been waiting for somebody to show up and make you feel validated and make you feel seen and held and heard. And when you finally fulfill it for yourself, it's not only nourishing, because it's like having a really awesome cold glass of water when you've been on a big dusty hike, and it feels so incredibly satiating. But it's also in some way sad, because you realize, I could have done this all along.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Why have I been waiting for somebody else to come along? I could do this for myself. And I think that's the secret to everything, because we have been looking for our worthiness outside of ourselves. And the most important relationship that you have in life, and look, I didn't get this. Like, I didn't get this in my bones. I knew I needed to put myself first, Brendon. I knew that I was supposed to love myself. I didn't know how to do it. And so in the last year, have had the most enormous breakthrough in realizing the extent to which I have never accepted that Chris, for example, could truly love me as much as he says he does, because I don't love myself the way that I need to. And I don't support myself the way that I need to. And that I will never feel worthy if I'm always looking for somebody else to show me that I'm worthy. I must first treat myself like I'm worthy. And when your relationship with yourself changes, it changes every relationship that you have, because your relationship with yourself is the foundation of every relationship.
Yes.
If you're insecure with yourself, everyone, you'll feel insecure with every relationship you have. If you don't love yourself, you'll find it hard to believe, and you will doubt that anybody else can love you. And this stuff goes at a subconscious level. And so what I love about the high five habit and the hands to the heart and all the other tools in this book that you're going to practice is that we are giving you the positive thing to do that has an immediate boost. But the way that it works starts to reveal these layers and layers and layers of things that you haven't been able to make movement in, and you haven't been able to have a breakthrough in. And that's what I love about this, how deeply it works. And that's why you're getting emotional when you use it.
Let me ask you a couple questions here, some speed round from the community that I just thought was really great. And I know you talked about your night routine and how people struggle with that. What are some fundamental must-haves you feel like for that evening wind down or evening routine?
I mean, for me, for starters, it is actually setting timelines on the things, on the way you shut yourself down or slow yourself down from the day. And I've got the same structure for my kids, and a lot of my stuff revolves around my kids. So I know that for my kids now, it's 8 o'clock, all devices are off, and that includes adults. All of us, devices are off at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, it's that getting ready for bed, it's that spending time together, it's that calming our body down so that we can get ready for bed. right? And just being present with each other and talking about the day and all that kind of stuff. Because family for me is everything. And that's, for me, the happiest part of my day is, I can have a great day, but if at the end of the day, I get to the end of the day and my kids had something tough going on, I'm like, oh, okay, what can I do to help them and support them? So it is that wind down process of shutting off from devices. And then just like I do in the morning process, it's being present with myself. And I notice the difference. I'm not perfect about doing my planner all the time. Sometimes I'll miss a morning or miss an evening. And when I don't, I'm basically just like I said in the example during this, I'm not being that pilot. I'm being that pilot who just runs on the plane and starts flying without going through my checklist process to make sure that I'm actually going where I want to go and doing what I want to do. And so I make sure to be present with myself emotionally and go, well, what am I actually feeling from today? What do I need to release? Whether it's anger or frustration, not really, I don't really get angry anymore. I used to be angry as a teenager, a good amount, but anger is not an emotion that I really dive into. Frustration definitely would be. But I recognize what emotions I have and I tap to release them, right? I acknowledge them and I release them so that I can actually get myself to bed. And I always just go back to acknowledging that I'm doing my best, right? That we're all doing our best. That, no matter how much I, want to beat myself up or think, oh, I could have done better or I should be further along. I mean, that's a common theme for everybody is, oh, I should be further along in my life or my business or further along with my health. And I just acknowledge and go, hey, I'm doing my best. And the more I beat myself up about that, the more I rob my joy of being present with life. At the end of the day, what happens to me, what matters to me is my health. Like, man, when I can get a good run in or play soccer, that is the most alive I feel in any given day. And then just being present with people. And I have to always remind myself being present with people because I'm always around people. The question is, am I actually present with them in a way where I can enjoy those interactions? And so I just remind myself of those things. I do gratitude every evening. I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for in the evening. I think that's a really important process. I notice in my planner, literally the second I get to that part and I start tapping into gratitude, my whole body just goes, and it just calms me down. And I go, oh yeah, there's always so much to be grateful for every single day. And so I go through that process. So those are just some of the things I do in the evening.
Michelle, I'm coming your way. Tucker.
Talk about being authentic here. I've been following you for like 3 years at least and never missed an episode, but
wow. Thank you.
I have been one of these people that are like, I am a high performer. I can perform, I can achieve goals and have built many businesses. But I came from a very small town like you, Brendon, population 150.
Nice.
And haven't had the most healthy relationships, grew up in the most healthy environment, got myself into a very toxic, unhealthy relationship. And I just kept doing, I kept achieving, kept doing. So I have been doing a lot of work on self-reflection. It's kind of interesting that we're talking about that today because self-reflection is something I never did because I just worked and I just did and I achieved, right? That's where I felt comfortable, but it's not working. The toxic relationship's not working. So my question today, as I'm doing self-reflection, and you mentioned about like reflecting and taking action. And I seem to just like do this, like reflecting and and it's overwhelming. And is it the right choice? Is it the right decision? Like, how do you get yourself out of that and into something more productive and constructive?
Yes, I love that. Give her a round of applause. Such a good question, Michelle. So good. So a couple things. One, that type of self-reflection needs a routine. Mm-hmm. It needs a routine. One of the simple questions we ask in the weekly review of High Performance Planner, as an example, is this question that says, what's one decision I could have made this week that would have made the week better? Mm-hmm. Meaning, do it every week. At the end of each week, go, what's some decisions I should have made or could have made? Mm-hmm. Every day, ask yourself, what's a decision I need to put in motion today? What's a decision I need to put in motion today? I'll give you all an example. I was waiting and waiting and waiting to create the new GrowthDay logo. I'm like, I'm gonna make the logo. I love doing art. Many of you know I've designed all the book covers of my books. I've designed all the websites you're on or see. I write all the emails you get. That's literally me. And so I geek out on that. I love that stuff. It was weeks and weeks. I was like, I couldn't get to it. And I said, one decision I need to make today. Today, I'm going to go post a dang project on Upwork. It's going to get up there. The decision is I'm not doing the logo. Someone else is. Decision, post that job on Upwork. I got this logo back the next day. Do you see the GrowthDay logo? The next day. Now, I would have sat and thought of 50 other things, and I made the decision because I forced myself that morning to ask, what's the decision I need to put into motion? Because if you don't ask the question, your brain instead says, what's something I could keep thinking about? Here's another thing a friend of mine does, Michelle, that might help you. Every morning, she writes down everything she's wondering or worrying about in one column. And then in the next column, she assigns a block of time in that week to resolve that worry or that thing she's wondering about. Now, here's what she taught me that I loved. She assigns it for that week. Not next month, not 6 months. She assigns it for that week, meaning she moves that worry or that wonder forward that week. She might not complete the project, but whatever she's stuck on, she's going to move it forward. Okay. Now, there's one other angle I want to hit on this from Michelle. It might help. And that is, there are some things that they're worries that they don't land on a to-do list. They don't land on a calendar. And those are worries about sometimes relationship or feelings, bad thoughts from the past, those types of things. All that we know from almost every therapeutic practice is the importance of capturing those things out of your brain. This is your journal practice. For those who are always constantly thinking, worrying about the same thing, it's time to capture it, write it down, like literally write the thing down, describe the thing, process the thing on a piece of paper, get it out of your head, put it, like externalize it, as they'll often call it, just like externalize that thing. And then ask, what do I want to do with this? Do I want to hold on this, let this go, release this? Is there a different story I want to tell myself? Is there a different thing? And then maybe you write the new story or write the conclusion of the worry. Like literally think about the worry. Can you conclude it? Can you write the story of the conclusion of your worry? That's a journal activity. Like, what am I always worried about? Great, write the conclusion. Write the conclusion. Just complete the story in your head. Because our head loves fragments of stories. What you're ruminating on is a fragment. The fragment is like what happened is you have a halfway done chapter. So you keep thinking about the halfway done chapter. Complete the chapter. Write out the rest of the story. And I'm talking to you all about journaling. Literally write it down, right? This is like a coach or a therapeutic practice. Like literally complete the story. Write it out. How do you want to see it end? How should it end? What could it end? Just write it out. And then if you've done all that and you're still stuck on a rumination from long years ago, or as Michelle was talking about, like a toxic relationship, please, please, please hear me always say, GrowthDay, we're here to be your coaches, your inspirations, but I'm a huge proponent of therapeutic work. Getting a therapist to help process stuff from the past that if it's always there, and you've tried some of these other things, you've done personal growth, or like Michelle, you've been 3 years, you're in it, and it's the epiphany hasn't happened, or the new practices haven't shooken it out or shaped it. It's like, oh, raise your hand, get a therapist, super important. And I want to give you all my super secret on this idea. Everyone's so scared of therapy these days. The nice thing is you can use like tools. There's a lot of like online therapy help you can use, like BetterHelp and other ones. But here's what I always tell my friends. Book 3 therapists the same day. Many therapists will do a free session with you, or maybe they charge for the first session. Book 3 in the same day. Go to all 3. Whichever one you like the most, book them out. That's all you got to do. So now it's not scary. Like, is this just book 3. It's like shopping. You go around, it's like shopping for shoes. You're going to go, oh boy, I'm getting in trouble for that one on the internet. I know. I'm just like, you're going to know which ones you like. You're going to try it on. You're like, this is the one. And you're going to choose that one. Okay. And that takes away the scariness of it, because you realize, oh, it's just a conversation. You're going to have a conversation with 3 nice people in one day. They're all nice. They all like you. They're all going to be cool. And at the end of the day, you're going to go, I like this one the best. Book that one and schedule that one. Okay. I know that was a bigger answer than you might be looking for, Michelle, but I want to give you a chance for a follow-up question too.
No, I think that's good. I have done the therapeutic process, and I have been in coaching and all the above. And I think because I have been doing so much more, I think I've just been pausing. I paused, and I feel guilty because I want to be like, I have things I need to do, but I knew it was time to pause. And it's not easy for me to be in this pause of self-reflection and all of that. And I guess I feel like I'm getting closer to the result I need. And I guess it was just that space between like the self-reflection and the increased awareness, and that like being like the confidence to take the action without and knowing it's the right thing to do. It's the right decision. And I know it's a personal decision, but I feel like for a lot of people that have been in toxic relationships or is in a toxic relationship, that's the space when you know here, but there's this like ruminating, like, is it the right decision? Like, could it be different? Oh, is it this cycle that is going to be better or whatever, right? And so it's just that space, like when you brought up self-reflection, I'm like, okay, pause, that's where I'm at. And then that confident and you said, take the action, right? And I'm like, where am I in that space? Like of self-reflection, increased awareness, here's the confidence, and I'm just doing it.
I love it.
I didn't know. I thought it'd be, and I like the journal, and I've been doing the journaling, and I've gotten some good input here that I will take into my self-reflection journaling process. So thank you.
I'm happy. Can I reflect? I want to reflect 2 things to you though, as well, Michelle. So make everyone here, I want you all write down, what's the decision I can make today and get in motion towards. Every day, I want you to do that in your morning. What's the decision I can make today and get in motion towards? Let's start that process. But also just reflecting something you said, Michelle, 2 things you said that I just want to capture. One, you said you feel guilty, right? You feel guilty not doing the work, or feel guilty not taking the action. I want you to all to imagine a life in which you were moving forward without the guilt. That guilty part of yourself, it's time to let go of that piece, because it's not speeding you up. It's probably not even necessarily slowing you down if you're a high achiever, Michelle. You're probably still going at it anyway. But guilt, it's so useless for you in almost every case. Can you look at it and say, oh, I expect a little more of myself? Sure. I expect a lot of myself each day, but I don't have to have guilt and I don't hit that mark. So explore that guilt piece, because that guilt piece erodes that confidence piece, right? We got to know, like, oh, I'm being hard on myself. No, there's a different thing of expecting a lot of yourself in a positive way and then torturing yourself because you're not perfect. So let's be aware of those things. Remember, those guilt, every of those little moments of guilt you're allowing in, that eats at your long-term confidence. So let's try to strive without the guilt. Strive with the strong belief in being congruent. And when you're not, don't apply self-hate or guilt, just apply awareness. Oh, what was it about that made me like that? Oh, what could I do better next time? Oh, how could I treat myself in a better way to feel better, to keep moving? So wherever I want you all to experience this, write this down. Instead of guilt, awareness. Instead of guilt, grace. When we can still recognize where we can improve, but apply grace to it instead of guilt to it, big breakthroughs happen in our confidence. Grace over guilt, huge, huge shift. The other thing is you said, because you don't know it, it's not quite right. And there's a little bit of perfection, like wanting to know what I want to know the right decision or I won't make one, right? I don't want to make the decision because it might not be the right one. They might change, she might do this might be like that. This desire, I need to get the right decision or I won't make it. No. When you hear yourself do that, go, okay, let me just get in motion. In relationships, I like to tell people this. Sometimes in a relationship, especially in toxic relationships, the step before the ultimate decision is the final proposal. You ever heard that before in negotiation? The step before the ultimate decision is the final proposal. What this means is you've proposed ideas for improvement. You've tried to have that conversation back and forth. And now it's final proposal. I like the word final proposal over the word ultimatum. I like, this is my final proposal. This is the way I think it should go. You're welcome to come back with another proposal that's better, but this is what I think it's going to take. And if that final proposal isn't improved upon or accepted, great, now decision. And a lot of relationship conflict happens because someone jumped to a decision too quickly on either side. And so opening up the proposal conversation, what would you do? What can we do? How can we do this is really important. But ultimately, I also want to share, just because Michelle used the word toxic, if you're ever in a truly toxic or a truly abusive relationship, that decision was already made. That decision is made because they are being congruent with their then character. It's Maya Angelou taught us that, right? Believe them the first time. You ever heard that before? Believe that behavior the first time. When it is super toxic or abusive in any way, that's that person's character in that moment. They are being congruent with their character. Doesn't mean they're a bad person. That means that's where they're at in the moment. That's who they are today. Let life be their educator, not you their savior. Let life be their educator, not you their savior. That's where you go, got it. I'm not here to save this situation. I can't fix you in that problem. You can't fix the abuser, right? You can't fix the truly intolerant. You can't fix the truly hate-filled. Something has to shift. They need their own epiphany or a new environment or a different empowerment or education that sometimes we just have to go, you know what? That's not me right now. I don't need to fix or be responsible for everyone else's train wreck. I don't need to fix or allow for this person to do that just because I'm compassionate and I know how to help people. Sometimes you're not the person who has to help them that day, that week, or that season of their year. I once broke up with a girl. She's fantastic. She was great. She was in a really bad season of her life. It was not the time to be in a relationship for her. And it wasn't me judging her going, I'm better than you or what. No, it was like, oh, this is not the time for you to be in a relationship. And I removed myself. And that was the right decision for her. She needed time and space to work through her stuff in order to have any healthy relationships. Sometimes if you're there in their time and space during that difficult or toxic or negative or that angry part of their moment, sometimes that will make sense to remove yourself. And the decision was made on their end based on their behavior. And you need to listen to that truth for your safety or for your honor. And I hope that resonates for some of you. And I know everyone's in a different situation here. All right. Michelle, is that helpful in any way today?
That was really helpful. Thank you. I actually really appreciated those last comments. So I really appreciate that. And what an honor to get to be coached by Brendon.
Thanks, Michelle. Appreciate you. This can be your day for personal growth. This can be that day you committed to and you remember and you go, that was the day I got myself a community. I got better coaches. I committed to making my life the absolute best that I could. This is that day. Make today your growth day. Click the button on this page and sign up right now.